What's up, guys? This is JZNES back with another video. We're talking about Megaman Battlenetwork 3 finally after all this time. I got the player's guide here, the official one. I'll show off my old guide here in a second, but yeah, this is a game that is like one of the games that I really loved back then. I still love it now. It's still fucking amazing. It's still really incredible as a game. Still holds up like super great. Like, this is the tipping point for the Mega Man Battlenetwork series. This is like where it all just fucking opens up, and it's the biggest, best game in the whole series. And I know I should be saying that just purely based on nostalgia, but you know, like, here's the thing, like, alright, what you can probably tell when I did my Mega Man Battlenetwork 1 review or whatnot, I was a little like, a little weary on it, still a little half and half on it, because that game, you know, is a great game, but it just isn't as good as these later games, like this game, you know, where the games just start getting really good, you know. And you know, and I hate to say it because I still love that game, but so far it's the weakest in the series because 2 did a lot of improvements, but 3 just takes it to a whole nother level. They made so many giant improvements and just like so many amazing leaps ahead to make the whole series just like take off full force. Now, like, I mean, the rest of the series like doesn't really live up to this one, which is another kind of down point, but like the series staples are all like really well fleshed out and established here. I mean, they were established in the previous games too, but this establishes a lot of things that would go on to be some of the best features, and some of the things that they took out that like were great features and they should have just kept in, you know, like the custom nav thing, which I don't believe is in any of the other games. I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's in all of the other ones, but I'm pretty sure they took that out as soon as like the next game for whatever reason. Maybe it was in the next game. I'm trying to think like what they even would have replaced it with, but yeah, maybe it is in the other games. I don't fucking remember. It's been so long since I played the other games, by the way. I don't remember it being in 5 though, so that's where I'm kind of half and half thinking about it. My memory's blurry though. It was years and years ago when I played these games. But anyway, so stuff like that. The custom nav is just like the next progression of the power-up system. The power-up system in the old games was cool because it was customizable. In the first game, it was really limited because you only got so many power-ups and they're really hard to find. They were a lot harder to find than even HP memories. So it's like they were this commodity to find, and once you did, pretty much the best way to do it was you put one into charge, you fill up the whole bar with attack, and that's it. Maybe 1 speed or something if you can find enough. But like in the second game, they put it to where you could almost max out everything. You're missing like maybe 2 or 3 slots, and then you could actually get those later, so you can max out your entire power-up status. Well, in this game, they said, fuck all of that. We're going to put in a whole new system, which is the custom nav system, which is this thing here. Let me get it pulled up. Can be late game, but that's alright. That's alright. We can... So, okay. So you can see the menu's really similar. They also have style changes, which they had in the last game, of course. But, you know, they're well done here, but you can see all these like little qualifiers and whatnot, and if I go here, all of these like little things here, all the little different things, like the same colors can't touch each other, otherwise there's like a problem and stuff, but all these little things here make for different power-ups. Like the little individual ones are like charge and +1 charge, +1 speed. This like 3-bar one is like weapons +1. There's a bunch of effects and stuff you can get out of this, which is awesome. But like an attack +1 is like these L-shaped ones or whatever. This one's like HP +200 or something. So it's just like so much more customizable. And there's even like cool gameplay ones like this one where there's certain areas we have to like certain areas we have to like shrink down, and then you have to have this one to pass through those areas. This one makes it so you can use chips on like in world things, like there's trees and stuff you have to burn down, and like fires you got to put out and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Stuff like that. Like, and then there's ones like these that like let you find fire navis more easily, so you can like collect chips for that and stuff. yeah, all sorts of just crazy shit like that, which is like, there's a humor program where Mega Man will just tell you jokes. Like when you press the little button to talk to Mega Man, he just like tells you jokes and stuff. And it actually is useful for one spot in the game where a guy gives you a chip because of it. So that's cool. And there's this one that like lets you get past like evil looking navies and stuff because they'll think they're like one of you or something, which is awesome. So stuff like that, like it's, all that stuff is like a brilliant replacement to the power-up system because the power-up system was so limited. This is like so customizable. It's like you can just do like any of these things in any order. Let's say fuck the HP. Maybe you don't want more HP. You want more weapon power. You put that in there. Maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want air shoes. So like when you're on the taking out spaces, you can like walk over them and stuff. Maybe you want the whole stage to be filled with sand when you go into battle. I don't know why you'd want that, but that's a chip. So, it's so fucking customizable, which is just awesome. So stuff like that just helps out a lot, Other than that, you have like the sub chips from the last game, library and whatnot, like all that kind of stuff. Let's look at my chip folder here quick while I'm thinking of stuff here to talk about. So, we got like let's go back over. It's like the air shots. I don't, were those in the last game? I don't remember if those were in the last game or not. But those are super helpful. This one, shit, God, why do I keep doing that? So Airshot 3 here, I actually got from this new feature. In the last game, there were chip traders in the first game too. But in this game, there's actually, you put in passwords and you get certain things, certain programs and stuff. There's like these spin programs you can use on the custom nav thing to spin the little parts too and stuff like that. So you can kind of Tetris them into the right place and whatnot. But there's a password system now on this one thing when Higsby opens up. It's like by like the third, when you're doing like the third scenario or whatever, Higsby will open up his store and he'll have the chip trader there. Or not, it's a chip trader that's a memory thing that can give you all sorts of stuff. And one of them is like this, and one of them is this Muramasa blade, which is badass, which I didn't end up using against the final boss like I always do. So I actually beat Alpha like really fucking cleanly. There's the anti-damage chip, which is probably my favorite chip in the entire fucking game. Whenever they hurt you, you throw down 3 ninja stars onto like available enemies or whatever, and it does 100 damage each. It's fucking awesome. So stuff like that. So that password thing is really helpful. You know what? I didn't get the gun chip, the Boktai chip. Is that in this game, right? That was in this game. I'm so stupid. I should have got that. It wasn't on that list of codes or whatever. That's so strange. Yeah, so I just, kind of had a bunch of pretty good chips. Of course, the meteor chip, like in the last game, is awesome. There's actually that same meteor chip from the last game. This one's actually pretty good, too. Barrier for 200, which is awesome. And just a bunch of awesome shit like that. Oh, and you get a lot of the memory stuff. Did I say 37? Oh my god, fuck. Yeah, there you go. Anti-damage, which is awesome. So I can put, god damn it, I can put roll 3 as my, starting battle thing, which is awesome by the end of the game, which is amazing. A Flash Man, he stuns your enemy and like does 70 damage. It's fucking awesome. Flam Man is awesome. Mist Man was one of the chips that they kind of just give you at the beginning. Those weren't as good in this game as they were in 2 or whatever, but whatever. They were pretty good. I used Mist Man. I didn't want to make it too broken. You could get like some other ones and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, you have a lot of that kind of stuff that's just really improved your chips and like, okay, so this game had some of like a lot better chips. They were like more well thought out and whatnot, in my opinion, and there's a lot of cool new enemies that they added, which were really cool. The world just kind of felt more fleshed out, in terms of the online world, and especially the online world. Let's talk about that for a fucking second. Like the vibrancy of the areas now is just so astounding. They tried to do that in 2, and they're getting there in 2. But in 3, it feels like a living, breathing world on the internet, which is ironic because it's not, obviously. But there's dealers, you know, places like there was in 2 and stuff in 1 obviously, but in 1 like the areas were really unmemorable, but like each area here feels like its own area, and it's like really like intuitive to map the area out in your head, so you like understand kind of where everything is. It's like it's just really well laid out, and there's navis all over the internet, like in the actual internet space, not on just the squares, in the internet space that like tell you different things and stuff. So it just feels like there's more like life to the overworld, which is fucking awesome. It's just really well done. Just the colors and stuff that they used are more like vibrant, and I don't know, they just stand out more, so you can kind of tell where everything's at. It's just like in 2, I would always forget where I was going, but in this game, like I never. I mean, there's times where I had to like have maps. It was mostly the undernet stuff, but like everything else, like I knew exactly where everything was, just because it's laid out so much better. The level design is so much better. And before I forget, let's talk about this, because this is awesome. So me and my friend Maya were playing the first game, right? And we were like complaining about the random encounters, how frequently they happen. It's just like, oh, it's every few fucking steps. What is this doing? That's so strange. But yeah, so the random encounters and stuff, like, they cut it down so significantly, but it's still just enough random encounters to where you're not feeling like, oh, there's not any random encounters, but you're also, you're feeling like it's a fair amount of random encounters. You know, like in the last games, it felt like there was a lot of random encounters, like too many random encounters, you know, kind of thing. They cut it back. They cut it back to just the perfect amount of random encounters. It feels just so natural. It's not like every 5 steps I'm getting into a random encounter. It feels like I'm getting into a random encounter when I should be, you know. This makes more sense as a ratio. It's better, is what I'm trying to say there. So, there's better enemies and there's stuff like that. I thought the way they did like the upgrade, you know, custom nav system, or not custom nav, the like guts, aqua guts style system, that's what I'm trying to say, was better too. It just kind of naturally comes throughout the story and whatnot, which is just like so much better. So that was cool. Here, sorry, I'm just shutting off these alarms here because they're gonna go off if I don't. All right. So what else? Let's think about this. The storyline was so much better. The world itself. What's cool about the world? I'll talk about that first. We'll talk about the storyline here in a second. What's cool about the world itself is that, like, in all these other games, well, the first 2 games anyway, the 2 worlds feel similar but like distinct from each other. You feel like, okay, there's similar locations here, but they're like completely different. Like the Scilab looks completely different in both of the first 2 games. But now, it's like they took all of the best elements of both of those Scilabs and they put it into one area that is Scilab. And so it's like you're not missing all of the old stuff, but you have a lot of it there. It just like comes together. They reference like all of the areas in the game. This game is like the culmination of all of the other games, which is just fucking awesome. It's like, you know, they'll say something like Dentown or whatever from like the first game. Somebody will reference that. Like, you don't get to go there, but that's an area that's still considered like canon in this world. Like the first 2 worlds felt very like distinctly different than each other, other than AC/DC Town, which basically never changes anyway. I think it actually does kind of change in the next few games, but anyway, point is, the worlds, it feels like they collided the worlds. That they kind of like realized like, oh, well, these first 2 worlds don't really sync up, so like let's make a world that kind of syncs all of the best parts of that world together and stuff. Interestingly enough, you know, like in the last game, you don't get to go to like any of the other countries or anything, so it's just kind of the local area around you, which is still fine. I mean, I'm still cool with that, but you still get references to Yumland and Natopia and stuff like, yeah. So, you know, it's pretty cool how they've like merged the world together to have like a really good coherent feel. Like it felt like in the first 2 games they were just making games. Now this game is the real, like, there's a world going on, you know. It's nice that they they have that continuity there. That's what I'm trying to say. Wait, why did this undo itself? That's so strange. It just paused itself for some reason. I don't know why it did that, but so yeah, like it just feels like a more well fleshed out world and whatnot. Let's see. Okay, and then if I go here, there we go. All right, so yeah, it just feels like way more fleshed out and whatnot. And part of that helps is the storyline. The storyline is a lot better than the other two games. The first game has a very basic storyline, and you don't really get a whole lot going with that storyline. There's not a lot that's going on, you know. Yeah, you fight the you fight the not the navies. I mean, you fight navies, yeah, the bosses, the operators of the navies, the WWW. You know, you fight them, that kind of thing. The second game, like the operators weren't as like memorable, so there's that. And the navies were still memorable, but this game has like memorable operators, memorable navies. The operators are actually like part of the story too. There's like a whole big thing, like they're just more well integrated and whatnot. Like just all of the elements come together, you know, kind of thing. So it's just really cool. I don't want to like spoil the story or whatever, because there are a lot of good. So that's the thing about the story is before it's like there's not that much to spoil, but like here there is some legitimately good moments and especially character moments. There's a lot more character development in this game, especially with Lan. Like he has some tough moments in this game that are just you really feel for him. You know, it's very impactful kind of stuff here, which is awesome. You know, again, I just don't want to spoil those things because there's a lot of great like reveals and twists and stuff in this game that could spoil for you, but I don't want to because it's just better if you kind of experience them yourself. So, but yeah, just know that the characters are like much more well done here. They all kind of get developed a lot better, whereas in the first two games there wasn't a lot to them, but here they really, you know, get developed a lot more. I will say it's not really a spoiler, but I'll just say well, it is a spoiler if I say that for Megaman Battlenetwork 2, but the guy from the guy behind everything in Megaman Battlenetwork 2 comes back here, and he's got some good scenes, and I never really understood who he was as a kid because I hadn't played Battlenetwork 2, but now he's definitely like a key part. I mean, not like a key part of the story, but he's like a nice little part of the later part of the story. And it kind of shows his character progression, which I thought was awesome that they followed up with that. So, you know, you really, if you play 2, you get those beats of the stuff that they like put in here for that. So that's awesome. I already spoiled this in my Mega Man Battlenetwork 1 review, so I'll just say it. The villain this time, you know, it's not the villain from last time. Obviously, he's Remorse, like I said. Is Wily again. Yes, he survived from the first game. I don't know how he did it, but it's even more kind of incredible he gets through this game. And that's not really much of a spoiler because I also spoiled that because he's in 6 as well. I told you in the first review that the games 1, 3, and 6, the odd games or whatever, kind of. I mean, you know, like, you get what I'm saying. Like, the Wily storyline are the better games in the series for storyline, that is, in my opinion. So, and I think that holds true. I mean, the second game had some pretty good story, but I'm definitely excited to get back to 6 and kind of see that progress again. But yeah, so the storyline and the characters are much more well done. There's a lot of great moments. It's almost like worth experiencing just for that. I mean, for fans of even just Mega Man, you know, not even Battle Network, but Mega Man, there's some great stuff in here. Especially at the end, people who've played the game kind of know what I'm talking about with that. But this is a really cool like callback to the original Mega Man the original Mega Man series, Mega Man Classic series. The storyline kind of has integrated from that series to here, which is cool because then now it's finally like the Mega Man Battle Network games were always kind of a remake, a reimagining of that series and that storyline, but this is where it kind of really jumps on that, and you kind of figure out kind of like who started all this, and you know what's Wily deal and all of that, which is really cool. I won't say much more than that because then I really will get into spoilers, but that kind of stuff, you know, this old lore stuff that, like, you know, you were kind of probably wondering in the first two games. Like, they don't really develop Wily much in the first game, which he feels much more antagonistic and much more threatening, and like he's actually doing something in this game. Like in the first game, I don't know, who knows what he was doing, right? But in this game, he's like got a plan, he's sticking to the plan, he's following the plan the whole time through. He's got all of his pawns under him, the new net operators and whatnot. The operators are much more memorable too than like obviously 2, because and it's odd, like some of them don't even have operators, like Bubble Man and Drill Man don't even have operators, which is crazy. So I don't know what the fuck's up with them. I was just thinking about that earlier. I'm like, geez. Yeah, so you got like, okay, Flashman, who isn't, I don't think, one of the old Mega Man Battle, or, God, I always say that, Mega Man characters, I don't think Flashman was. So, but he's in there. You got Beastman, who I think might have been one of the old ones, maybe not. I think they actually just made up a bunch of new characters for this one. They kind of stopped relying on their, is this Battlenetwork 3? Oh, interesting. Sounds a lot like the Iceman stage. Anyway. So, yeah, so you just, okay, so you got Beastman and, Bubble Man, who is an old one. He's from 2. He's definitely old guard on the Mega Man series. Plant Man, who I believe was in one of the older games. Flame Man, I guess it is, but, so yeah, Mr. Match is back. That's fucking awesome. I don't remember if he, like, comes back again at all. Like, be interesting to see him again, but he's always one of, like, the classic Mega Man Battle Network villains because, you know, he was the first villain that you kind of fought against in the original game, so he's just got, like, a classic style about him. I think he might come back. Well, no, because he had Heatman in the last game, so I don't know. It's hard to say if he's back or not in the later games. I'll let you know, I guess. But yeah, you know, just a bunch of like classic villains, but it's like the classic. Other than Drill Man and Bubble Man, I don't think many of the other like classic villains. They're like new villains, which is like just cool. It's like they've taken the classic villain style and like upgraded it to be new villains. So it's like they're almost standing on their own now. I mean, I know in the later games they kind of go back to relying on the old classic Navis, or you know the bosses from the old games as Navis kind of thing. You got like Napalm Man and like stuff like that. But in this game, like no, they just kind of had some new ones, you know, which was cool. Maybe they're kind of based on some X designs or something. I don't know. I haven't really played that series much. Oh yeah, by the way, this is my original box from back in the day. You can see it's a little worse for wear, but you know, it's still got a bunch of nostalgic value for me because it is the original box. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and I guess while we're talking about original things, this is my original Battle Network guide, like 120 pages or some shit that I like used back in the day. There's like even I've like stapled certain sections together. I even like checkmarked shit back in the day. This is like all the chips and whatnot. There's like I've got like the job requests and stuff board in here. I'll talk about that in a second because that was greatly improved as well. But yeah, this is my original guide. Actually, you can see down here on the bottom, 3/16/20 or 2004. So that was 16 years ago. I printed this off at my mom's work. I remember that day. Like, I was like, oh, can I print this guide off? And she's like, oh, I guess so, or whatever. So, and I got a lot of good use out of that guide. Of course, now I have the official guide, but I got this at Disc Replay like a lot of years later. This is a pretty decent guide. It doesn't have like the job stuff. I think maybe it does have the job stuff. I don't know. It's just, yeah, it does, but it's only like some of them, and it's really limited. It's good for like just getting through the storyline and whatnot, but a lot of the other stuff is kind of missing and whatnot. It's good for the chips as well, I would say, is another good reason for this guide. but it's pretty solid if you're just getting to the storyline. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about, now there's versions, so there's blue version and white version. I never played white version much. I think I did one time back in the day, but I always played blue version because that's always the one I had, you know? There's certain, like, exclusive chips and stuff, like, certain bosses are different, like, I think Mr. Famous has, like, is a different Navi or something. And instead, I think instead of Bowlman, like later on, he's like a bowling Navi. I don't know why. I don't know why he was so significant to everything either. But instead of him, you have like a different Navi, I think, too, or something to that effect. I don't know. Haven't really played white version much, but that's basically the difference. It's like a Pokemon like version sort of thing, you know. And they do that for all of the games after this. So like certain characters and stuff are exclusive, which is kind of interesting. Interesting idea, you know, that they would do something like that. So, yeah. Let's see, what else? So, I was just thinking of what I was going to talk about next too, and okay, so we talked about the story, talked about how the world is cooler, the chips are better enemies. I don't know. It's just like a better... Oh, hey, we can talk about the music. The music is fucking classic as shit. It's like so good. Like, it's like just the best music maybe in the series, but just like so far. It's just so well implemented and realized and whatnot. Yeah, it's really cool. So this game also kind of started the tournament arc kind of storyline, which they do, I think, maybe in all of the games after this. I know at least in 4 they do it again, but there's the whole N1 Grand Prix thing, which is like a big part of the story until that ends. Oh, Desert Man, that's the other one I forgot, who is not Pharaoh Man, as I said in my Mega Man Battlenetwork 1 review. That's who I was thinking of when I was talking about. I'm like, oh, maybe don't you fight Pharaoh Man later or whatever? No, it's Desert Man. That's who I was thinking of. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, the N1 Grand Prix storyline, they kind of have like a tournament arc kind of thing. It's pretty well implemented here. They kind of have like a substitute for it later in the story too, where you're like tracking down a bunch of like these like top ranked Navis on the undernet or whatever. So that's pretty cool. I was going to talk about the job system. That was the other thing I was going to talk about. So that was also a really cool thing, like a late game story thing. The undernet is like way cooler in this game than it was in either of the other 2 games. In the first game, it just felt like any other area, so like you didn't know like it was any different. So, but you know, in game 2 it was pretty cool. But here is like the most classic version of the undernet. They kind of take this one and make it the undernet for the later games, I feel like. So yeah, like that was really cool. Just everything is like a little bit better and a little bit more polished and well done in this game. There is the job board thing, like I was talking about, which is awesome. They did, okay, first before I talk about that, they also did, you had it in the last game where there was like little teleports or like web page things, but they kind of did that again in this game. So like there's 4 areas where if you jack in there, you can basically get to the square on any of the other areas or whatever, which is like awesome. It's really convenient. It's just really well laid out and whatnot. Yeah, also, there's 5 versions of each of the Navi chips in this game, which is just ridiculous. And I don't even think you can get version 5 of most of the chips and whatnot, which is just crazy. But, what was I going to say? So we were talking, okay, the job request system is actually greatly improved. Like, you know, like most of the quests feel significant and they feel like their own little storylines and whatnot, which is awesome. And most of them aren't like even that hard to do. Some of them are a little bit challenging, but like, you know, you always get pretty good rewards and stuff. There's like, in this game there's new, obviously the expansion memory, which is for your Navi custom system. It expands like the area that you can put down the little, you know, programs and whatnot. So it's very helpful in that regard. You get that through doing one of the jobs. You get a sub-memory thing through doing one of the jobs. Lets you have more sub-chips, like your full energies and that kind of stuff. They also had unlockers in this game, which is like, I think new. I think maybe they had that in 2. I'm not sure. Pretty sure they had that in 2, actually. But maybe they didn't have that in 2. Unlocker is a chip thing where there's these purple diamond things that are usually like where the items are, but they're in very specific locations. A lot of them suck. A lot of them are just like whatever chips, but some of them are like HP memories and that kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Also, like, they have these cubes in the undernet, which reminded me because this is the undernet music, by the way. Where once you defeat up to version 3 of each of the boss navis in the game, you can like go through these cubes and you'll get like special items and stuff, which is really cool. So it's just really well implemented there. I thought it was really great. There's program sellers in this game as well as to sell you stuff with the custom navi. But anyway, so the job system is really cool. You basically, yeah, like this feel more well fleshed out than they were in like Megaman Battlenetwork 2. And like every time you progress the story a little bit, you get like 2 or 3 more jobs, which is cool. And that's awesome. It's just there's a lot of good side content in this game, which is just makes the game feel so much more fleshed out, which is awesome. And it gets you more familiarized with like areas and stuff, which probably kind of actually helps you like map out areas in your head and stuff. So yeah, just like everything felt like way more fleshed out. I know I've said that like a million times in this review so far, but yeah, like everything is just a little bit better, a little bit bigger. You know, it really is the most essential game in the series so far. Like, it's the most epic and the most grand of all of like the storylines, the character moments. Just like all the chips are like just way more epic and more well done. Each area, real world and on the net, just feels so much more distinct. And there's so much more stuff to like discover, and it just feels so. It's they're small areas, but there's so much in them. They're dense. That's the word. The last games, the areas felt kind of big and confusing a lot of times. But these areas are small but well put together, and they're dense, and they do a lot with a little, kind of stuff, which is fantastic. I mean, it's the perfect amount of stuff. You have the perfect amount of content because there's a lot of side stuff that needs doing, or not needs doing, but is worth doing. It's a lot of little secrets in the game. Like, I didn't even get the tomes this time. I don't even remember how you do that. I thought it was through one of the side quests. Maybe it was. Maybe I skipped it. I don't know. But if you get all 3 of these tomes or whatever, and you go and take them to this statue in the like teacher conference room or whatever, it'll give you like 300,000 zeni, which is just like pretty crazy. Like, I don't know, like that's just kind of insane, like stuff like that is just like little secrets like that, little Easter eggs and stuff everywhere. Yeah, I don't know, just everything felt more fleshed out, felt better, felt more well realized. So it's just like the culmination of every Mega Man Battle Network good thing up until this moment. Like, you're probably like, okay, well, is there anything you want to complain about the game? And not really. There's the one thing I kind of like wasn't so hot on was at the end, and these are always usually pretty like kind of whatever, but at the end there's this segment where basically you're doing the final Wily stuff, and there's these different machines or whatever that you kind of like jack into to like go through and do the final, and you got to do the boss rush and everything again, so final dungeons kind of thing. Actually, what was I gonna say? I want to talk about a thing with the Navi custom in a second here, what it reminds me of. But so you're going through all that, and there's these like little things that'll grab you and put you back to a certain area. It was kind of like in the part in 2 where they do that. At least there wasn't one that like takes all of your money or one that steals your life or whatever, like in 2. So I mean, it wasn't so bad compared to 2, especially when you're save stating and whatnot. But like, it was just a little bit annoying. And there's this program that you can put in your custom nav that like lets you avoid these little alpha blob things that come up and grab you and do the same thing, put you back to a previous point. But like, I didn't want to put the program in there. I just want to ruin my formula, so I ran into a bunch of those too. So it was a lot of trial and error near the end there. That's my one complaint, is that like those ending things before those bosses are just a little bit annoying, just a little bit, you know. But other than that, like, everything is so much fun. It's super satisfying to like just play the game. It's just so much fun to play the game and just do the game, you know. But what I wanted to talk about was that the custom nav to me felt a lot like Mega Man Legends, where in that game you do sort of stuff to give yourself a lot of power-ups and whatnot, and you have these I don't know what they specifically are, but they're basically like the programs where you put them on there and you get extra attack and extra stuff, and you only have so much space to kind of do that. I think the max you can get is like I think the max you can get is three of them that you can put on there at a time. But this is like kind of a progression of that system that the custom nav system is, which was really cool. There's a lot of little things that remind me a lot of Mega Man Legends in this game, which is pretty cool, you know, since I really love Mega Man Legends and whatnot. So there's like even callbacks to that and stuff, which is like really cool. Is this the final boss music already? We like through the whole soundtrack? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I could talk about this game for forever, but we still got a little ways, but that's alright. I'm probably going to wrap it up here in a second anyway. I don't really know what else to say other than that this game is the primo Mega Man Battle Network game. This is just like the best version of Mega Man Battle Network so far, is this one. It's just so classic, especially to myself. This game has so much significance and meaning to myself because it's just one of these games that I played back in the day, and it really, you know, I played the shit out of it, and I really tried to discover everything and do all this stuff, and it's just a game I spent a lot of good time with as a kid. So yeah, like, well, back in 2004 or whatever, when I printed off this guide, you know, it was a pretty magical time in gaming for me, because, you know, it was an era when I was playing stuff like Golden Sun and the Oracle of Seasons and Ages and all of that. I didn't play Ages until later, but, you know, played like Seasons and stuff, and like, I don't know, like Mario World and stuff like that on the Game Boy Advance. I mean, I played that on Super Nintendo as well, but, you know, back in the day. But just a lot of games like that, and it was kind of right before I was gonna get into emulation and, you know, start playing the NES games and that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of a really magical era for myself, which is just so awesome. He's just freaking out. Okay, but anyway, so, you know, Mega Man Battle Network 3, the music, the storyline, the characters, man, like, they have some really good, solid, you know, emotional moments in this game. You know, you really feel for these characters, especially Lan and Mega Man, and you feel their connection and whatnot. And the areas are just so much more fleshed out and well realized, and there's just like little things around every corner. It's just like worth exploring. The enemies are cooler. The power-up system is better with a custom Navi thing. Just everything is just like way more well done. The whole game just feels really good to play. Like the last few games, there's some rough moments, you know, somewhere in the storyline you're always like, well, this area is not as good or whatever. Like, no, all of the areas in this game are awesome. There's no little bullshit like you know, a Luckman stage in the first one, where it's like, you know, lights go on and off. I mean, they did do that. Flashman has that, but there's a way around it. You know, you turn on the lights in the real world to show the area or whatever, which is like cool. My point is, it doesn't impede, like, you know, there's not invisible paths or any of that kind of shit in here. The random encounters were cut down to like the perfect amount, and that's like like, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but it's a really big deal. It just, like, makes the game so much more fun and bearable to play. Not that the other two games were, like, unbearable to play, but sometimes you felt really bogged down by random encounters that they just did so many times you had to run into these random encounters and fight all these really annoying enemies. And of course, the escape system is back here, so you can just run away whenever the annoying enemies show up or whatever. And you got pretty good odds at running away in this game, I would say. So, yeah, just stuff like that. Just, like, there's so many quality of life improvements. Just everything was improved. Even the graphical, like, fidelity looks so much better. It's like they really knew what they were doing with this game. This is finally, like, a really, really good Mega Man Battle Network game. And so, to me, obviously, it means a lot to me. It's my second Mega Man Battle Network game, but it was the one where I really felt like Mega Man Battle Network was, like, really established, and they really did good with it. All the games past this are good, but they're just like they can never really stand up to the peak that we've reached with Mega Man Battle Network 3. I mean, maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at these games with a more objective lens this time. But just all of this stuff culminates to make one of the greatest Mega Man Battle Network and one of the just greatest Mega Man games of all time. I would say that this is definitively, I would say, the greatest Mega Man game that I've played personally. It's my favorite one. I did that top 3 Mega Man thing for Michael B. the Game Genie. I just watched that more recently again. I had, like, Mega Man 2 on there as number 3, Mega Man Legends was number 2, and then Mega Man Battle Network 3 was number 1, because this is the best Mega Man game to me, in my opinion. So, all that stuff in mind, and I don't, maybe it seems like I hand out 10s a lot or something, but I don't try to. This game really deserves a 10, if not somewhere like a 9.8 or something like that, just because of those final Wily stages. They didn't bother me enough, though. What I would say is that, to me, it's a 10 out of 10 kind of game. For reals. Like, if any game is going to get a 10, it would be this game, because it's just so well done. It's just so well realized. Everything from the previous 2 games is improved upon. It is the most, like, essential sort of, it's the most, like, well realized sequel, kind of thing. Just like Mega Man 2 is a really good sequel to Mega Man 1. It feels like that for Mega Man Battle Network, So, yeah, like, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just really good, and this is the whole reason I would recommend even playing 1 and 2. Not that those aren't great games in their own right. They are. They're really awesome games, but if you play 1 and 2, you're gonna get a lot out of 3, a lot more out of 3. Like, it'll be quite the experience for you once you play 3 at that point. So I would recommend playing them in order to get to 3. And even if you don't play the rest of the games in the series, this game actually feels like a really solid ending to the series, in a sense. And I kind of wonder if they, at some point, wanted it to be the end of the series, or something to that effect. But, no, it wasn't the end. Obviously, there was many more games, or 3 more games after. I don't know, I guess Chip Challenge came out too, but that doesn't really count. But yeah, like, and that stuff's great. All of those games are great, but this is the peak of the series, and I think this is really where the series shines just so brilliantly in this game. It actually, I didn't talk about it much, but there's a lot of post-game content as well. About maybe a little bit more than the other games, but about the same, I would say, that I haven't really delved into. But I'd be really interested in delving into the post-game content here, collecting the chips, going and fighting the extra bosses and whatnot. This would be a game where I'd want to do that kind of stuff, because someday, I mean, maybe not right now, because I'm kind of busy with other games and Animal Crossing and whatnot. So, but yeah, 10 out of 10 game for me. Mega Man Battle Network 3, especially blue version. I would really recommend that. I mean, the game is super cheap too. It's like $5. You can get it on Wii U for like 8 or something. That's a really great version as well. That's where I've been replaying all of the games, which is awesome. So yeah, highly recommended. But yeah, like, go out and get the Mega Man Battlenetwork series. If you have a Wii U especially, just get them on there. I mean, you know, you can go out and find the physical cards too if you're more into Game Boy Advance, or if you have a Game Boy player or something, that might work out pretty good too. But I like playing them on my TV, you know. I know they weren't really intended for that, but hey, you know, it works. It works, you know. That's how I've mostly always done it, was on the emulator. They'd be, you know, put to full screen, playing it on the TV kind of thing. So, yeah, classic game right here. Really great, must-play game. I don't know what else to say. This has been JZNES saying keep it classic. Stick around for more reviews, underrated games, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Maybe with Mario Galaxy 2, unless I surprise myself with something else. So, anyways, I will see you guys next time. JZ